everyone. I just wanted to help introduce Richard today. Richard is one of our RNs at our two assisted living facilities, Cherokee Residential Care and Silver Spur Assisted Living. And along with being one of our nurses, he's also our amazing activities director. Some of the things he does with our residents is just out of our world and way beyond what I could have ever done. So today he is going to teach us about the process of Kintsugi and how we can hopefully implement this in the practice of it in all of our facilities with our residents. So please, and he's also going to have his wonderful helper, Michelle, with him today as well. So please help me welcome Richard.
One second. Compassion is not a relationship between healer and wounded. It's a relationship between equals. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. A quote by Pima Chodron. Good morning to you all, and I thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope this is as enjoyable to you all as it was for me in creating this presentation. The title of my presentation is The Kintsugi of Care, and some of you may ask, what is Kintsugi and how does it apply to the care that I provide? Kintsugi, or golden joinery, is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending the areas of breakage with lacquer, dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The concept that a broken item can be made even more beautiful or refined than it was originally. During this presentation, I will assert the value and impact activities and purposeful social engagement can have in long-term care, while also introduce an approach and philosophy that, in conjunction with activities and purposeful social engagement, assist in improving resident well-being, promotes personal growth, builds rapport, and a sense of independence, which encourages a sense of ownership of the physical and mental well-being of and by the residents. The approach in this philosophy, when intertwined with dedicated activities, becomes the gold, silver, and platinum that helps to mend the lives of those we serve. Lives many of the residents at one point saw as broken and beyond repair. This sense of brokenness can manifest in a variety of ways: low self-esteem, hopelessness, sense of a loss of control, and even despair. My name is Richard Johnson. I'm a registered nurse and activities director serving the residents at Silver Spur and Cherokee Residential Care. The two facilities in close proximity to one another and under the umbrella of Arena Manor. The residents I serve have a mental health diagnosis, and these diagnoses vary in scope and severity. Most have concomitant physical health diagnoses as well. And the population varies by age. Most are over the age of 50, but there are a few in their 30s and 40s. These facilities are both VA certified, and there is a small but growing veteran population who call Silver Spur and Cherokee home. Some of you may remember me from last year in my presentation, Phoenix Rising. It's a story about my journey. A life once full of possibilities and achievement until addiction to prescription pain medication, after being injured in the line of duty, dramatically changed the trajectory of my life. In my early 20s, I was full of ambition with a promising career as a registered nurse, as an officer in the Army Reserve, and shortly after, graduated with my master's degree and as an acute care nurse practitioner. I was deployed with my Army unit to Kosovo, and I suffered both back and knee injuries. And as I returned to the States, I was prescribed high-dose opiate pain medication, became addicted. My life continued to unravel for over 14 years. Eventually, in 2015, I became a resident at Cherokee Residential Care, and I lived there for 7 years. This provided me with the necessary time to begin to repair my broken mind and body, encounter hope and healing on all levels, begin to once again live, not just be alive. I bring a unique perspective in my service both as a nurse and as an activities director because of the long and winding broken road that I traveled. So I can confidently say the components of what I will present today have been in formulation for many years. I would go so far as to call myself a joy warrior. forging the necessary attributes during a prolonged battle to regain life, purpose, and passion, which was refined over the last several years, serving the population that I do. I clearly understand that joy and gratitude are directly proportionate. So if I may, I would like to recognize and offer my sincere gratitude to some of those beautiful people who have been instrumental in making this presentation possible. My faith is the main driver of who I am and what I do and why I'm here today. I'd like to first give thanks to God for this new life and opportunity to speak today, and I would like to thank my family for their patient guidance, love, and vital support and encouragement they have provided over the years and continue to provide to this day. To my mom specifically, a heart overflowing with gratitude for your unconditional love and for all the little things you did every day. For being a great sounding board, my biggest fan for coming to both facilities and actively participating in the Pen Pal program. The magnitude of the positive impact you had on me and on each resident will take a lifetime to fully realize. I hope you're looking now down on your son with pride, and your heart rests, knowing a job well done. To Jody, Stephanie, and Kim, the owners of Arena Manor, Inc., Cherokee, and Silver Spur, not just my employers, but family. My heart is filled with gratitude as I reflect on the journey since meeting these beautiful souls 10 years ago. I was a beneficiary of their love, care, and concern during a dark period in my life as a resident of Cherokee Residential Care. Because of their patient guidance, attentiveness, encouragement, and support, in addition to the opportunities for growth and finding purpose while a resident, I am now able to fully embrace the position as Activities Director and eventually as a registered nurse as well. The heart filled with gratitude, I thank you all for the small things that made a big difference. To my girlfriend, Michelle, who provided the inspiration for this presentation. She regularly encourages me to run with my heart wide open. As I do, I begin to realize the attributes of this philosophy and approach utilized in the Kintsugi of Care. Michelle and I were introduced to the term Kintsugi while on a pilgrimage to Lourdes, France, where we met. And ongoing discussions have evolved over the last year, helping to give birth to this presentation. I thank you, my dear Michelle, for your encouragement, your support, your insight, wisdom, and for your love. And lastly, I'd like to thank you all for being here. Now let's get into the meat of it. So just a quick overview. I'll talk about the introduction to what Kintsugi of Care is, unique perspective an Activities Director can have, unique perspective I have in the dual role as Activities Director and Registered Nurse, the primary goals of the Kintsugi of Care approach, the Kintsugi ripple effect, the general philosophy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the general philosophy and approach of the Kintsugi of Care, actions before activities, specific activities, and then in front of you, we'll refer to it later as a one-page model to implement everything that I'm talking about. So this presentation is interactive. As an Activities Director, I'm hoping to get a lot of participation. And in front of you, there's a sheet of pre-folded origami paper. We're going to just do a simple 2-minute craft and make a Kintsugi bowl, as you see up there. So, and I'll instruct you and walk you right through it. So if you'll indulge me, let's put our phones down, computers closed if you have them open. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths into your heart space. Now ask yourself, self, do I feel whole inside out and top down? Let me further refine that question. Is there nothing at all I need or want to add to my life? No improvements I need or want to make? Do I have an overabundance of joy in every single moment, no need for growth? Am I able to love others fully, and do I feel fully loved? Do I feel seen, heard, and valued 100% of the time? If your answer is 110% yes, please raise your hand. Of course, there are some missing pieces to each one of us. We all have cracks that need to be filled, parts that need to be mended. We all have past hurts, failures, ongoing challenges, loss and fear of loss, periods of instability in all aspects of our life. Now take a breath and reflect on that within you for just a few seconds. Now, put yourself squarely in the shoes of those you care for. And try to imagine all those things on top of a mental health diagnosis, a loss of independence, a loss of direction, an ability to cope, maybe living with more than 30 people, little flexibility when you take your medicine and eat your meals, share a room with one or more people, have few outlets for creativity, social engagement, and connection, feeling isolated and lonely, in spite of being around other people all the time, feeling less or even unimportant, etc., etc., etc. For all intents and purposes, feeling broken in one way or another. So filling a unique niche, this is where a passionate activities director can make a huge difference, impacting a resident's life in ways that are not specifically measurable, but certainly contribute to the overall well-being and a sense of purpose and stability, and this has an impact on things that are measurable. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I talked about this too. In a couple of slides, I'll show you where the impact of the Kintsugi of Care takes place. So I'd just like to introduce this. Some of you may be familiar with it. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory that organizes human needs into 5 levels from basic to advanced. Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been applied in a range of fields, including education, child development, and healthcare. I was introduced to Maslow's hierarchy of needs first in nursing school and subsequently in psychology classes. Understanding this hierarchy and utilizing it with a broad application can help to clarify the impact that the Kintsugi of Care approach through activities can have on a resident's life and their sense of well-being. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is often depicted as a pyramid. And so this isn't the classic picture. Usually it looks like a traditional pyramid, but I thought this was a little bit easier to read. And you can kind of see the little drawings there on the side that kind of relate to what that level is. The theory suggests that people are motivated to fulfill these needs, and as they progress through the levels in order. However, in reality, people may move back and forth between levels, and progress may be disrupted by a failure to meet lower level needs. And this is important in the impact that the Kintsugi of Care can have, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This failure to meet lower level needs, especially in the population that we serve, may cause an individual to fluctuate between the levels of hierarchy. In healthcare specifically, the practical application of Maslow's framework helps identify barriers to motivation and guide strategies to fulfill these various needs. Loss of independence, fear, loss of control over one's own environment, unpredictable symptomatology, and difficulty adjusting to life in a residential care facility or a long-term care facility can prevent the resident from experiencing any motivation to progress along the lower levels, which can stunt personal growth and a sense of well-being, living life more fully in spite of being in a residential care facility. The levels of Maslow's hierarchy needs, they start down here. And it starts with physiological needs, the needs for food, for water, shelter, sleep, and clothing, a very basic need. Then from that, once those are filled, we move to safety needs, the needs for security, stability, and freedom from fear. Then love and belonging needs, the needs for friendship, intimacy, and acceptance. And esteem needs, the needs for self-esteem and respect, and self-actualization needs, the needs to achieve one's full potential and creativity. These are all basic human needs, and they apply to each one of us. So the first 2 levels are based on a matter of deficiency, of lack. Individually are ideally met by the standard of care and levels of support at the facility where the resident is living. After physiological and safety needs are met, it is in levels 3 and 4 that the Kintsugi of Care and dedicated activities can have the most impact on. This approach through activities provides a necessary outlet and environment for friendships to form and grow, an acceptance of the person of who and where they are. Another underlying principle of this approach is called unconditional positive regard, a core concept in Carl Rogers' person-centered therapy, which means accepting and valuing individuals as they are, without judgment or conditions, fostering a safe space for exploration and growth, valuing the inherent worth and dignity of the individual, and honoring their feelings and life experiences as a matter of dignity and respect that all human beings are deserving of. A brief side note, this does not mean condoning or encouraging unhealthy behaviors, which can sometimes happen, especially in a facility like ours where there is sometimes behavior issues, but rather accepting the person as they are in all their uniqueness and beauty. Focusing on this model and encountering the residents with this approach consistently helps them to feel seen, heard, and valued. And this helps to build resilience, self-confidence, and a sense of ownership of the residents' medical and psychiatric conditions to the degree that they are able, ownership of daily tasks, and ownership of their sense of well-being. All of this has an impact on the outcomes-based goals that I will mention shortly. Kintsugi, or golden joinery, as I said before, is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending areas of breakage with lacquer dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. So let's take those components individually and apply them in the context of this presentation. The lacquer. The lacquer is laughter. It's important to laugh from our bellies and often. Laughter stimulates healing on all levels of our being, decreases stress, tamps down fear, improves mood, and promotes a more positive outlook. Laughter fills the cracks in conventional healthcare through a decrease in the number and severity of symptomatology, and enhancing the effectiveness of medication and medical interventions. Silver. Silver is shiny and glittery, a genuine smile that reaches the eyes. One that connects the caregiver to a resident. The shining silver connecting to another person's broken parts is the essence of Kintsugi. We learn to smile and to relax more through activities, special times when things are not being written in a chart, medications are not being given, blood pressures are not being taken. Activities provide a momentary bubble, a safe space to smile and enjoy the moment. The Kintsugis are the finer details, the small things, the laughter and smiles, and activities are a medium and opportunity to encounter that. Platinum. Platinum is for playfulness and not taking life so seriously all the time. This helps to fill in the cracks in a client's or resident's life, promoting a more joyful nature, proactively reducing stress and its negative effects on the body in addition to building resilience. Activities can definitely bring out playfulness. Activities should be new and fresh and mixed with same and similar. This prevents boredom and encourages participation and stimulates curiosity. There is comfort in activities that are predictable and excitement with activities that are new. I have found having themed days, as I will elaborate on in a few minutes, encompasses the same and similar and the new and fresh. Comfort and predictability, and curiosity and excitement in the variety. Gold. The gold is the glee and gladness experienced from laughter, smiles, and playfulness. Gold is what lasts. The effects linger long past the moment the glee and gladness was experienced. These effects are then taken into daily life, building resilience, hope, and optimism. Filling in the cracks in a client's life is important because with all the technology in healthcare, the sometimes impersonal nature in which healthcare can be delivered, and focus on quantity, the quality, or kintsugi, is easily misplaced and deprioritized. Without quality care, provided with concern and attention to detail, the effects of the precious metals can be turned into liquid too fast, and the desired effect from medical and psychiatric interventions doesn't hold. The subjective nature of the kintsugi is essential for a person's whole health. In other words, helping someone feel whole, living and flourishing, and not just being alive and existing. Activities provide an environment for the caregiver to observe and measure this wholeness, provides an opportunity to make a positive and lasting impact. The unique perspective of an activities director. And I fully understand that some places do not have an activities director. And you have staff implement activities. So whether as a dedicated activities director or a care team member organizing and hosting the activity, the role and perspective is the same. The role of the person hosting the activity is seen by residents as separate from those who give medications, clean their rooms, or help with hygiene, even if it is the same person who does these things. During the activity, they are seen in a different light. The interactions are less formal and more relaxed. The atmosphere changes, or at least should change, to one that promotes fun, encourages social engagement, and allows for the uniqueness of the residents to shine bright. The rapport built with residents is different, and this provides an in for the caregiver to know the resident on a more personal level, creating vital, potentially helpful information useful in the scheme of overall care. This rapport gives the caregiver insight into subtle changes in behavior, affect, demeanor, and mental and physical wellness. This perspective allows for ongoing, real-time evaluation simply by mindfully observing, both in the sense if something is going wrong, like an increase in symptomatology, medically or psychiatrically, but just as important if things are going right, like an increase in participation or presence at activities, more smiles, increasing confidence and well-being, providing a powerful opportunity to engage in positive reinforcement and encourage more of those things going right. In my personal experience, my role as an activities director, as I mentioned before, is as a joy warrior. My perspective and philosophy are born from aspects of my journey, not just empathizing, but literally being in the shoes of the residents that I serve. I draw from multiple sources, internally and specific life experience. And I reflect frequently on the aspects of my time as a resident, on what was helpful and what was not helpful with regard to interpersonal relationships, opportunities for engagement, finding purpose in each day, right where I was at, observations and interactions with the staff and other residents, and observations of the immediate environment. The approach I use allows for great flexibility in designing schedules and implementing activities. I've discovered that what works is organization and simplicity. I have developed a routine of creating a monthly schedule of activities at the end of the month for the following month. And this helps to plan 4 weeks at a time, so I can plan for and obtain snacks for activities and prepare for specific activities like creating trivia and ordering supplies and devising a weekly and monthly budget. All of this allows for a more consistent and smooth implementation of activities. The residents are more likely to sense the importance of activities and are more likely to participate, feeling that time and attention was invested into the planning and implementation, which then indirectly projects a sense that time, attention, and energy was invested into them. This promotes a feeling that they are valued, that they are seen, that they are important. As I mentioned earlier, I also serve as a registered nurse, and I utilize a unique and dual role to build rapport with each resident on an individual basis. The underlying principle allows the two roles to complement each other and make for a more seamless transition throughout the day. As a general example of this, the time and attention I provide with nursing and medical care helps the resident to feel cared for. If their needs are important, they are seen and heard. This encourages them to participate more fully in activities and to experience the same effect. But just briefly, the primary outcomes-based goals, in any approach, you'd like to know how is it successful. So I created these goals just to, not as a specific marker, but just as a way to gauge, is this approach even effective? So look for an increase in maintenance of resident well-being, direct and indirect impact on improving medical and psychiatric outcomes through an increase in appetite, sleeping better, potential and consistent improvement in vital signs, improving the effectiveness of certain medications, opportunities for exercise, potentially decreasing hospitalizations and or length of stay at the hospital. That goes a lot to resilience. Decreasing the magnitude of the impact from acute and chronic illness, and giving them something to look forward to returning to after a hospitalization or symptoms from illness. Fostering a sense of community and a sense of belonging. Help the residents to feel that they are seen, heard, and valued. Promote and encourage a sense of responsibility in each resident for their daily well-being. So the Kintsugi ripple effect is an interesting thing that happens here. With consistent application of the components of Kintsugi, a very noticeable and interesting thing happens. The overall atmosphere in the facility is less tense, and I dare to say even more joyful. Residents slowly at first begin to engage one another, and then participate more in activities, and then outside of activities. Genuine laughter is heard more often, genuine smiles are shared more often. Residents are more able to cope with the struggles of every day. Communication between residents and other residents, and residents and staff improves, sometimes dramatically. The residents begin to look forward to the activities scheduled for the day, leading them to participate more fully. These effects are cumulative and compounding and ripple out way beyond the limited time they are involved in the actual activity. Over time, this slowly begins to breathe life into the sense of well-being that everyone desires, and absolutely everyone deserves. The effect is not limited to the residents. As one leads by example to help residents feel seen, heard, and valued, the more others will begin to do the same, utilizing their roles in the application of the Kintsugi in daily interactions. This brings forth a positive effect as others begin looking for ways in their individual role in the caregiver scheme on how to promote resident well-being and helping them to be seen, valued, and heard, which contributes to the achievement of the outcomes-based goals set forth in the Kintsugi of Care. Let me give you a real example. The dietary manager began a little over a year ago incorporating a special strategy to recognize residents. Going in alphabetical order, one resident each week is to pick whatever they want for their lunchtime meal. On Thursdays, and all residents receive the same meal that day. On the menu board, and for everyone to see, the resident's name is highlighted, indicating that this is their special meal. No resident is excluded, and all will get the opportunity to choose their meal. This fosters a sense of community, sharing, and it's such a distinct way to show extra emphasis that they are our priority. The manager came to me about 6 weeks ago and was excited when she had a new idea. Once the resident meal list started over, which occurred just 2 weeks ago, she had the idea to add a little special gift to each meal for when the residents chose their meal. And I could see her face glow and her eyes light up as she could clearly see the impact that this would have on each resident individually and on all the residents collectively. So as part of my shopping for activities, I now get the little gifts and the residents' favorite treat or something that they really like, and they receive this with their special meal. Another new and creative way to insert the Kintsugi of Care. Utilizing the Kintsugi of Care approach, not just solely with activities, but in the day-to-day interactions, this becomes a sort of modeling for staff to resident interactions. As other staff members see this approach on a consistent basis, they begin to follow suit. I think sometimes without intending to do so, treating the residents with more empathy, gentleness, and much more patience. The staff begin to go out of their way to be attentive to the little details of each resident's daily life. Investment, as it were, is not just an investment in time and resources into the residents, but time and resources into yourself, and time and resources into the success of your facility. To all those who live there, to all those who support those who live there, a beautiful ripple that comes back to everyone involved in abundance. So I have a few maxims that underline and guide the actions before activities, which I'll get into in just a moment. So make people feel important with the SHR method. Seen, heard, and remembered. A person's favorite sound is their name. Remember it. And I would add, use it often. To give feedback, first make the other person feel you care about them. Build the habit of responding with yes and, because it advances their idea. As my boss Jody says, find a way to say yes. Great leaders create more leaders, not followers. And I use this in reference to modeling positive behavior for both residents and staff. Consistent actions create consistent results. Actions speak louder than words. Follow through with what you say so your actions speak volumes. Laughter and excitement are contagious. Let it spread like wildfire. To attain the maximum potential for the impact of the Kintsugi of Care approach through activities, it is helpful to perform certain actions before the activity takes place. As I mentioned earlier, I have found what works best is organization and simplicity. Organization starts first with creating an activity calendar, keeping a few things in mind when creating that activity calendar. The activities should be straightforward and on the more simplistic side, available to all, especially in regard with and consideration of the residents' level of functioning and ability to participate. Creating a functional system for planning activities has been trial and error for me. I initially started with a monthly calendar posted for the residents and quickly found this was too busy for them to follow and failed to hold interest. Now, for my own records, I create a monthly calendar, and for the residents, I post a weekly calendar each Monday. I have found that this is much easier for the residents to read and for them to understand, capitalizing on the sense of building anticipation for each activity. It is also easier for me to refer to when the residents ask, which they frequently do, what's the activity for today? The activity should include some things that the residents are familiar with and look forward to each week. In the case of our two facilities, this is bingo every Wednesday and every Saturday. My calendar starts there, provides the comfort of a familiar activity. Having this as an anchor point each week allows me to create activities around that. There was an interesting evolution over the first year in trying to come up with new activities. I began to realize I was designating certain activities that were related on certain days. For instance, a simple game or trivia on Tuesdays, which is the day that I focus solely on nursing duties now and do not lead the activities. Hence, the strategy of themed days was born. Themed days are different from a themed activity in the sense that themed days are a broad category and relate to ongoing activities, and a themed activity is related specifically to just that one instance. Themed days help me to organize activities and allow for a degree of predictability for both residents, but also being able to incorporate a breadth and diversity of activities, so residents don't get bored with the redundancy. The theme days that I use, and you could really come up with your own strategy, is something that is the residents look forward to. Having that as a predictable thing, not necessarily the same activity, but something predictable. This day we'll do this. Gives them something to look forward to, just without them even thinking about it. So on Mondays is Movement Mondays, and Movement Mondays was sparked by the intention to add some form of gentle exercise and basic mindfulness as a way to contribute to well-being. I utilize this theme day to add a healthy snack. Toss-up Tuesdays. This is a day that I do not usually lead activities, so I wanted to create something simple, make it easier for the staff to incorporate and lead the activities on these days without my oversight. These days usually involve a game of some sort or trivia, and every third Tuesday, the mobile library visits each facility. Thinking Thursdays. Well, Wednesdays and Saturdays is always bingo, as I mentioned earlier. Thinking Thursdays. This theme day was sparked by the intention to help residents engage their mind in some way, engaging both the analytical and process-oriented left brain and the creative and artistic right brain. I use a combination of traditional games, open-ended questions, and a variety of creative activities. It is my thought that balancing the use of the right and left brain, even for short periods, can stimulate more effective use of coping mechanisms, particularly with daily stressors. I have used this time in the past for strictly educational purposes regarding mental health diagnosis, treatment, etc. But I have found that while the residents participated in the educational programs just by coming, it left little room for them to actually engage and utilize what I was teaching. So I simplified and found that there is much more active participation when I do less speaking and more listening after simply prompting. I was pleasantly surprised at how confidently the residents tend to open up with certain Thinking Thursday activities, and it is the highlight for me. The residents follow in motion as we put on our thinking caps for that activity. Fun and Free Day Friday. This is specifically reserved for more relaxed and less structured activities. This provides for a conducive atmosphere for true social engagement and special opportunities to interact with the residents on a more intimate level. And all as we celebrate the end of the week together. Activities on this day include once-a-month birthday parties, Fiesta Fridays, karaoke, and finding any reason to incorporate a special snack and drink. As I mentioned earlier, Wednesdays and Saturdays are the designated bingo days. And in general, I do not schedule a structured activity on Sundays, as I have found that both the residents and staff need a break I do make available a variety of games and sometimes special treats for a happy hour on Sundays. So this is where the approach really makes a difference, is before the activity actually happens. So to the degree possible, activities should take place around the same time each day. Posting an activity calendar is the essential minimum requirement for notifying residents which activities are taking place. But I have found that incorporating some of the previously mentioned maxims encourages much more participation, not just with the number of residents who attend the activities, but with individual participation during the activities. The simple act of going to each resident's room, or finding each resident in the common area, and then greeting them by name and letting them know which activity is taking place that day, which snack is being provided, and what the activity is about, accomplishes everything in the SHR method for them being seen, heard, and remembered. And this goes a long way in building rapport. For the activities that is necessary to do so, preparing and planning for the activity so it is ready to go at the time the activity takes place is essential. For example, if there's a trivia scheduled and there's a money prize involved, simply making the money available and having the trivia ready to go before the activity starts so everything can be seamlessly implemented. Incorporating a variety of snacks with most activities also greatly encourages participation. For residents who are unsure or hesitant to participate in activities, having a fun snack and letting them know that they can come just for the snack and see what the activity is all about brings a lot more people. Once those residents are there and see the engagement and fun that is had, they are more likely to come to future activities. Personally, I rarely utilize packaged snack cakes or cookies. While these are simple to obtain and economical in the sense of cost, these are readily available in the vending machine, include empty calories, and do not provide much of an incentive for residents to come to activities. We do use cookies on occasion, but they are usually from the bakery, and cupcakes for certain parties, again from the bakery, and they usually have colored frosting, which is always fun. And this is associated with the activity, which is usually something holiday themed. Just a little forethought in budgeting with snacks, so as to include a diversity of offerings, can provide adequate incentive for residents to come to activities, increase active participation, and more importantly, enjoyment. So simply getting the resident to come, not necessarily demanding that they participate, which sometimes happens during our activities when the staff is helping me, what I frequently hear, Mr. Richard, spend time putting this together and, let's, you gotta participate. And it's not about it, it's about getting them involved and not pushing them past their comfort level too quickly. And if they enjoy it, it's something they will definitely come back to. Frequently talking up an activity helps to spread that important contagion, excitement. When introducing a new activity, I usually schedule it towards the latter end of the month and begin introducing the idea at the beginning of the month, and then reintroducing the idea at subsequent activities. This not only builds excitement, but it also allows the word to spread and allows time for questions. Resident feedback is also important and should be considered as a vital part of the actions before activities. The most common way I obtain feedback is simply by observing the residents during the activity, assessing their response, knowing how many people attended. I'm looking for smiles, and then talking about the activity after the activity. If a resident requests a specific activity, I will be sure to put that on the calendar. Tapping into the excitement and anticipation of one resident will spread the excitement and anticipation to the other residents. I also have utilized resident well-being surveys, both for specific activities and activities in general. Taking time with residents outside the activity is part of the Kintsugi of Care. Getting to know them on a more personal level increases the benefit and impact the activity can have. Sitting with a resident for just 5 minutes can provide a wealth of information to the keen observer, including likes and dislikes, mood, things that are going well and things that are not going well, and personality traits. And this provides helpful information to you to engage those residents during the activity. And again, they feel seen, heard, and valued. Let's get into what I do specifically. Each activity I lead starts the exact same way. With great enthusiasm, I wish them a happy day. I wait to hear the response and then use an added little gem that we started a couple years ago. If the response from the residents is meager, I let them know that I forgot my hearing aid at home and I couldn't quite hear them that well. This grabs their attention and we'll try it again, usually receiving a much louder response. This ignition of excitement before the activity is important to create the bubble space necessary for the components of the Kintsugi of Care to come alive and be effective. The added little gem is the word fabulous, spoken in a drawn-out manner with a specific hand movement. Fabulous, after the happy day. And this sets the tone for the activity, and the intention behind the word fabulous is just to remind them and me, even if the day isn't going so well, we can push out some fabulous and make it even better. This tends to lighten the mood if it is tense or a little solemn. There are some days when the residents become quite boisterous with that part of the greeting, and that makes my heart so happy. So let's push out some fabulous together. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Happy Tuesday, everybody!
Tuesday.
Fabulous?
Fabulous.
You know what? Long travel time, I did forget both hearing aids. I really couldn't quite hear, so let's try that one more time. Happy Tuesday, everybody!
Happy Tuesday.
Fabulous! Everybody pushing some out there. We've got a lot to work with here. Thank you guys for indulging me. I then thank them for coming and briefly introduce the theme day and a little bit about the activity and snack. This is quite helpful. When possible, I have the staff pass out the snack while I'm introducing and beginning the activity. This helped, able to focus on observing, interacting, and giving my full attention to the residents. There is a limited window for activities to take place without interrupting meals and medications. I also have to balance between the length of the activity and providing adequate time for both facilities. I generally lead activities between 2 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. This allows for setup, cleanup, the actions before the activity, and the activity itself. On the days that I do not lead the activities, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday, the staff generally leads the activity between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And I mention this to emphasize that consistency with timing is important, but not vital. Having flexibility and latitude, depending on whatever may be going on at the facility that day, and adjusting as necessary to ensure the activity takes place is important as well. I have found that consistency with the themed days, the timing of activities, and the implementation of the actions before activities, doing that every single time, assists in creating a routine of sorts that melts right into the routines of daily life at the facility. Residents notice any interruption of this routine, and this can throw them off just a little bit. So communication about changes is vital, and a brief explanation as to why an activity was delayed can mitigate the impact of interrupting the routine. Lastly, I will introduce some specific activities I utilize on themed days, and this is the participation part of the presentation. So I will let you know about that in just a moment. Starting with Movement Mondays. During my first year, I introduced chair yoga and a healthy snack to the residents. Most had heard of yoga, and the idea of something new piqued their interest. At first, they were intimidated by the inference that this was more exercise than anything else. And I reinforced the fact that it was just some gentle movement and stretching, and there was a healthy snack involved afterwards. And this lessened the intimidation, resulting in increased participation. There has been a peripheral benefit to the healthy snack each week. Introducing something new to their palate was more helpful to their body and mind than something from the vending machine. Residents began to notice improvements in how they felt following the light movement and the healthy snack, and this led to increased participation. There was also a ripple effect. At Cherokee, residents began requesting healthier options for their 3 o'clock snack, and the manager was all too happy to oblige. This has been a subtle but noticeable effect in resident well-being, mood, and ability to cope. I use a variety of healthy snacks: fresh fruit, Greek yogurt with berries, IQ bars. The standard drink is generally Gatorade, although I've used flavored sparkling water in the past. Last August, I introduced Tai Chi to the residents, and it was very well received, more so than the chair yoga. The residents enjoy the flow, the movements, and the near instant boost in mood and sense of well-being. So if y'all will oblige me, I would like to walk you through a short portion of the routine. It just takes about 2 minutes. So if you would, just make sure you got a little room to move your arms. And just participate as much as you can and as your body allows. Your body is your best teacher, and it will tell you exactly what you can do and what you can't do. So we'll start with a little warm-up. We're just going to open the diaphragm by just gently raising our arms, tapping your fingers if you can, and slowly bring them back down to your side. This time do a little bit more intention, a little bit slower. And try to follow your breath as you go up. And slowly come back down. Try to feel the air move between your fingers. One last time. And next, we're going to separate the clouds. And kind of separate the clouds so we can bring a little more sunshine into the room. We all need a little bit more sunshine. We're going to cross our hands, and like we're taking off a big sweater. We're going to push away the clouds, allow the sunshine to come on our face. And a couple more times. Separate those clouds. Bring the sun in. Let the shine in your face. Bring a bit of a smile. Now we'll get into merging heaven and earth, which is part of the actual form. We're going to have one arm up, and the palms are going to, one arm down, the palms are going to be facing each other. We're just going to slowly allow our hands and our palms to pass one another as we merge heaven and earth. Again, this is done with intention, slow. As you bring this next arm up, hold it there for just a moment. Bring it down, your arm to a 90-degree angle. And we're going to do wide stork, spreads its wings. So this gentle movement helps to wring out the tension in the whole back, which is where we hold a lot of stress at. White stork spreads its wings. And pause right there. Bring this arm down. We're going to brush our knee with this hand. We're going to push in the other direction. We're going to brush the knee. We're going to push. So I do this seated with the residents. So you guys are doing a fabulous job. Brush knee and push. Two more parts of the form here. We all have those little frustrations, those little nagging things that bother us every day. A lot of us like to call them the monkeys on our back. So we're going to repulse those monkeys. We're going to grab them off our back. We're going to send them to outer space so they don't come back. All right, so we're going to have one arm in front of us, and reach behind, grab all those monkeys, and we're going to smash them. We're going to send them flying. Let's do that a couple more times. Smash those monkeys. Send them to the moon. Smash those monkeys. Once you come back, no more, no more, no more. All right, so those guys have friends. They usually hang out on the other shoulder. And take those monkeys off our back here. Send them in the other direction. I don't want them hanging out with one another. Send them flying. One more time. And the last one we do is a resident favorite. It's called Play the Peepaw. The peepaw is an ancient instrument that is a mix between a harp and a guitar and maybe a couple other things, but it's strummed down. So we're going to strum this instrument down. We're going to stop right here, and we stop in what's called ready hands. So one of the reasons the residents really like this is we involve our voice with this. So we're letting our opponent know that Tai Chi is a form of martial arts. We're letting our opponent know that we are ready, and we announce our presence with a hi-ya. So I would encourage you to take a deep breath as we do this. As we strum down, we're all going to say hi-ya together, and I am going to issue a challenge. If you guys can be louder than the residents, I will let you know. All right, you ready? So let's play the peepaw. Hi-ya! Other side. Hi-ya! Other side. Hi-ya! Other side. Hi-ya! Play the peepaw. Hi-ya! Last one. Hi-ya! Okay, you guys. Fabulous. Okay, we always end, so we have a warm-up, we do the form, and then we end with kind of a closing. So we just created a lot of good energy around us. We're going to grab all that energy, we're going to put it into a good energy egg. You guys ready? So we're just going to bring that, create a little egg on top of our head. We're going to smash that egg and put that good energy and rub it into the top, down the sides of our face, down our neck, across our shoulders. Grab that good energy to your fingertips, pull it right into your heart space. Anything else we don't need, we're going to simply wipe off the front. So a little bit extra. So I'll do that a couple of times. We'll go down the side of the face and the back of the head. And then we finish traditionally each time with this. Take our right hand, create a soft place. And I tell them that this represents the darkness, but the light always covers the darkness. So we cover that right in front of our heart space, and we bow to one another. We say, Sa-shin. Sa-shin.
Sa-shin.
And that's just an expression of gratitude. So that is Tai Chi. I usually do about 15 minutes of that. Involves different parts of the form. That's the basic elements of it. And the residents get a big, big kick out of it. Toss-up Tuesdays. I like to create activities where everyone who participates wins something, and are relatively easy for the staff to implement. But let me pause right there. How do you guys feel after doing just a little bit of Tai Chi? Good. Is it fun? Yeah? It's all about fun. It's all about fun. We gotta have more fun in our life, more smiles, more playfulness. So some of the activities I like to make sure that they're relatively easy for the staff to implement, so I can ensure that they're being done. If they're too complicated, they require me to kind of be there for that. That kind of defeats the purpose of setting it up for them. So I just create stuff like the spin wheel game. Everybody wins. Price is Right. Everybody wins. Family Feud, holiday trivia. Everybody wins. Answer a question, win a prize. Gatorade bingo or big candy bingo. Everybody wins. So lastly, I want to introduce, as part of that, also prize bingo and the grab bag game. As I mentioned, the mobile library comes every third Tuesday. So I encourage you in implementing activities to use local resources and utilize those in implementing your activities. But, everybody, we did do a Happy Tuesday. It is Toss-Up Tuesday. So you guys ready for another activity? We're going to create a Kintsugi bowl that you see displayed around here. So you have a sheet of pre-folded origami paper in front of you. This takes about a minute and a half here. All right, so you're going to hold the corner, take one of the corners, the inside fold there. The inside fold, the right side of that square, the right side. All right, we're going to fold that over. You're going to see kind of a diagonal part there. I'm going to fold that over and create that and seal the seam there. So it's going to just fold over to the middle where that seam is.
I think we're all special needs, Richard.
That's okay. Let me come through and show you. All right, see that's okay. See the diagonal right there? Just going to fold that like that. Fold that over to the center. All right, starting with the right side. Right side. See the diagonal.
I'm in a good box. That's why it's
Is that line there? Doesn't have to be perfect. Kintsugi is not perfect, because we're all not perfect. All right. So everybody got that first fold, just to the halfway point. So this, the inside of that square, I'm going to fold it to where that diagonal line is. The right side of the square. Right side. Fold that right to that diagonal. All right, right side of the square, just fold it to that diagonal. Facing right side of the square, go to the diagonal. All right, so you should see a little bit of a triangle above that. You getting it? Okay. Right side of the square, fold to the diagonal. See that little flap that's created right there? Okay. How's everybody else doing? Getting there? No? All right. Right side of the square. You got it. You got it. Right side of the square to the diagonal. All right. Right side of the square. Right here, right side. Fold down to the diagonal. See the little flap we're creating up there? Right side of the square to the diagonal. All right, we're gonna get another chance. This is how all the corners go. Everybody getting it? Maybe a little bit? Right side of the square, you got it? Diagonal?
Over here, we got it, excellent, okay, A's, excellent.
To the diagonal.
You guys, you're already 3/4 of the way done, we're only supposed to do one step at a time.
I'm still in one step, I'm listening.
Oh, we got overachievers.
So you know how we have a
We're gonna
square,
go one corner.
you know how we have a square here? Okay, you're gonna take the, edge of the square and you're gonna fold that into the diagonal,
We're creating a little corner.
okay? Okay, so you take your square, okay, this one edge, and you're just gonna fold that right into the
We are eventually.
Yeah. That's gonna be, this is the inside.
All right, ready? Tracking so far? All right, so you have a little flap there that's created, a little triangle you should see. At the top, just simply fold that over to the front. All right, towards you. So we folded it and just fold that towards you.
Okay, so then our next step,
I'm sorry, yeah, towards you.
next step,
Yeah, to the
is you're
front.
just gonna fold that.
Yep.
On the outside, the inside one really makes sense.
Good. How are you guys doing over there? Getting it? Okay. All right. Everybody have a roundabout, we're folding that flap over?
Okay?
Yes.
Good.
Actually, it's gonna fold for you.
Power.
No, you're right, you're right.
It took me 20 minutes, yeah.
You got it. All right, you got it. Okay, everybody. This is just the third fold here. You've got now what looks like the beginning of a corner here. So in the beginning of this corner to the midline here at the very top, we're just going to create another little flap. Just fold that over. All right, so you've got two parts to the flap here. So this first flap is already down. And then from the midline to that other line on the edge in the corner, create another little flap. It's okay. It's still going to work.
I got it.
Because we're
You
gonna
got
work
it?
on the outside of the board. We're folding
Same way as the other flap.
No, we're fine.
Well, we're going to lock it in. So it's gonna stay-
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Absolutely, right on. Right, because we're working our way around the outside.
Same word.
All right, I'll walk you guys through one more fold, so I have a little bit of time to finish the presentation, and I'll say after you guys are going to finish this fold. But this is, it probably is good that this was challenging, because for us that aren't living in a facility, still finding it challenging, we're engaging our brain in some way. And that has a magnificent effect on overall functioning in the long term, even if we're doing it just for a few moments. So we're going to repeat that same thing on another corner, and I'll finish the presentation, and then I will help you guys finish this going forward. All right, so we're going to just repeat the same thing on another corner here. All right, so the right side, if you're looking at it, the right side, the inside part of that fold, take it to the midline, where that diagonal is. We fold over the flap. So midline, the right side, the inside of that square, to the diagonal, fold over the flap. Okay? You getting it? All right? All right? And I think we've missed a step here. I'm going to go over that in just a second here. Just kind of lock it in. We're going to take from that left side, that left part of that line there, that corner, and we're just going to create another little flap right to where that diagonal is. All right, so you should have a little pocket that's been created here. Little pocket. We're just going to tuck that flap into that pocket. Yeah, we don't want it to create anything. You're doing well, Kim, look at you. That's okay. You created something beautiful.
You did.
And it's not about creating this, it's not about completing it the right way, because there is no right way to do it. I approach crafts the same way. Everything the resident creates, simply because they showed up, they created something beautiful. And so that's what crafts are all about. I chose this origami paper and the making of the bowl to represent the kintsugi and creating something beautiful from something that was just a flat sheet of paper. And I came to notice the other day, we actually have kintsugi carpet here, so that kind of set the tone. So I'm not sure how much time I have here, so I'd just like to finish and we can finish up with the bowl. But I want to thank you all for indulging me and just attempting the activity. And Michelle's going to kindly walk around there. So that was a toss-up Tuesday. So thinking Thursday. We have our anchor activities of bingo. Now bingo is bingo, but I like to make it a little bit exciting at least once a month, and I do a super prize. So usually that's at least $10, or a resident gets to pick a meal, or we do something different, a little bit more than the $1 or $2 that they get for each game. So in addition to the regular introduction, I asked the residents for Thinking Thursdays, I asked the residents to join me in putting on our thinking caps. Maybe we should have done that before this one. You gotta track with me here. Let's put on our thinking cap. We'll finish this up in just a minute. Let that soak in. Yeah, let's give Kim a big round of applause. She's got it. All right. So putting on their thinking caps, as I mentioned earlier, brings attention to the activity. We're getting ready to do something that involves the mind. So I incorporate diverse activities that will stimulate the brain in some way, both intellectually and creatively. And some examples of these activities include World Trivia, where I pick a different country each month and create a trivia around it. All the questions are multiple choice until each resident has an opportunity to answer until they get it right. One of my favorite mantras is, everybody wins. I explain to them that this is not about knowing the answer, because usually the questions are something that people who know about the world don't really know the answers to. Not something too complicated though, but rather learning something new. And this takes the pressure off and allows them to more fully engage. So the prize is not dependent if they get it right. They'll eventually get it right. That's why they're all multiple choice or true false. So everybody wins. Everybody gets to participate in this snap from a different country. And that's where the whole benefit comes in, just by them showing up. The questions cover geography, language, culture, and food. The snack is something to that, native to that country. I also used the 5-second rule. So 5 seconds to name as many things as they can in a certain category, social Jenga, answering questions about themselves, and promoting a little self-discovery and getting to know their neighbor a little bit better. Crafts. So once a month, at least once a month, we'll do a craft or art of some sort. And I've used scratch paper art, banner painting, canvas art, holiday associated crafts, and most recently we put together a flower arrangement to usher in the first day of spring. I have a photo of that, and there was a fantastic amount of participation in that. And I'll show you guys a photo. We do make your own air freshener, right? Again, stimulating the mind through the sense. Blind taste test, same idea. I have 11 things that they are courageous enough to try. Nothing ever gross or too hot or anything. But they get to guess, they get to engage their sensory glands through taste. And that has an effect on the mind. I don't explain this to them because it's quite intricate. But in doing that, it brings them into a mindful state. And from that, they're able to cope better with daily life. The pen pal program, one of my favorites and the one that my mom participated in. So we have a pen pal program between the two facilities. They write to one another. And this connects the residents at both facilities through simple cards and letters. This has initiated some new friendships, sparked some love interest, but most of all, this connecting helps the residents not feel so alone. And there is such excitement from getting a letter or card. There's been a few times where the residents appeared to be very emotional just from getting a pen pal card, just asking them how they're doing and what their favorite meal is. But they came to tears and they were so excited about it, so it makes a huge impact. And then Fun and Free Day Friday, a great way to celebrate the end of the week. This is a less structured activity with the intent to just have fun and relax. Playfulness. Some examples of these include Fiesta Friday, where we do margarita mixers, non-alcoholic, with chips and salsa, coffee, chocolate, and karaoke, where we use wireless microphones, a large computer screen to display the lyrics, hot chocolate and coffee, and something chocolate to eat. If it's the right kind of chocolate, it's also actually good for you, so I like to indulge in that as well, the dark chocolate. Birthday parties, one of my favorites. A great way to shower some positive attention on a resident. So each resident gets to pick the song of their choice. I will announce their choice, and we all listen to the song while cake and ice cream are being passed out. We then sing happy birthday, and each resident is personally given their gift, congratulating them on the year that was, and wishing them beautiful things in the year to come. And then ask them to share some words of wisdom. And I am pleasantly surprised at what they can come up with. This little bit of recognition translates into a resident feeling seen, heard, and valued. Beer, blues, and tattoos, just like it sounds. Non-alcoholic beer, blues music, and temporary tattoos. And then special happy hours, root beer floats, snow cones, cheesecake bites, coffee, and donut holes. We also have a minibus for our facilities and take the residents on out trips to the park to get ice cream, to go shopping, or just to go for a ride. But if your facility does not have large-scale transportation, just walking with the resident to the store or taking them to their favorite fast food place gives them a break from the facility and gives you a chance to get to know them better, strengthening the bond and building rapport between staff and resident. We have special activities. The Christmas party. Santa Claus comes to town. The residents sing Christmas carols, and they have Domino's pizza, and each resident is called by name and given a Christmas gift. We have an ice cream truck that comes once a year in July. And just a couple of months ago, we brought a coffee truck. So something to do in the winter, and it was such a great hit. They were able to order the beverage of their choice. Such a great hit, both residents and staff. Something we'll likely do in the years to come. And let's also do a couple things to tend to the spiritual needs as part of the residents who feel that is important to them. So just recently we had an Ash Wednesday service, and then once a month I'll do a Bible study to approach that. Let me show you a few photos of things in action. We're almost done, guys, so hang in there with me. Blind taste test, the birthday party, the Christmas party, Halloween. To the top right there, if you can't see it, that was Beer, Blues, and Tattoos. One of our Rico Suave type gentlemen has a tattoo of a kiss on his cheek. Really wanted to show that off. So there's a one-page model in front of you. I will let you read through that. It basically is a condensation of what I just read here. So the Kintsugi of Care approach and philosophy has been in formulation for many years and was born out of the key aspects of my journey, the points filled with light, the points filled with darkness, and everything in between. We are in healthcare because we are devoted to serve others, especially those who are often overlooked. Dedicated activities can breathe life into a resident's day and have a huge impact on the overall sense of well-being, degree of resilience, fostering a sense of community, help to create an atmosphere of attitude and joy, making a positive difference, not just in the residents, but in those who serve the residents. Now that you know a little bit about the Kintsugi of Care approach and philosophy, using activities as a medium, I offer you some questions to ponder before I close. What if the first line of your job description was to bring joy to those you work with? In other words, the residents. What if your primary motivation and marker for good job performance was to make someone smile? Would you approach the care of residents any differently, knowing that the impact of activities and the actions before activities can have? This is part of my unwritten job description. This is my personal marker for good job performance, making a difference in the hearts of residents' lives, promoting well-being, encouraging a sense of independence to the degree possible, building rapport, delivering smiles, encouraging laughter and playfulness, creating an atmosphere for glee and gladness, providing the lacquer of platinum, silver, and gold, the Kintsugi of Care. So I'd like to thank again Jody, Stephanie, and Kim for their integral part in the hope and healing that I have experienced and for providing this opportunity and outlet for living, working, and serving with purpose and passion. You all have been extremely supportive, encouraging, provided a latitude to institute this framework of care delivery. It's such a pleasure and honor and privilege to work with you all and to serve the population that we do. I'd like to thank Marla for the opportunity to speak today and to share this concept I'd like to thank my amazing, loving, and supporting family for your encouragement, sacrifice, and patient guidance. My heartfelt gratitude for Michelle, for encouraging me to run with my heart wide open, inspiring this presentation, and for your help in delivering this presentation. And to all of you, thank you all for listening and participating. So I'll stay after so we can do the final fold of the bowl and create something beautiful that was vibrant with color and layered in gold. The Kintsugi of Care. It all starts with a smile. Be the Kintsugi. Thank you all. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those as we walk around. If anybody wants to know, it's on